Sauron the Great bids thee welcome.
Yes, that concludes negotiations.
And let us be rid of it, once and for all.
No man can kill me.
I am no man.
You heard it up top. Once again, we delve into Middle-earth and maybe complete our journey to Mount Doom. That's right, we're talking the final film in the original trilogy for J.R.R. Tolkien's masterpiece series, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, here on Normies Like Us. I'm going to say Return of the Colin.
It's Micoma, and this horse is fucking diabolical. A different character for that actor.
Leg Joe loss. Sticking with it, man. Riding it, okay?
Good, though.
And when I last left you, dear normies, I was but merely Jacob the Grey. But now I return, rejuvenated, and reunited with my fellow normies. I am Jacob, the white guy.
All right. That's how we get the podcast going. We were saying the Return of the King.
Back.
I thought for sure it'd be Cabagorn would be here. But
That's
yes,
a good one too.
reunited. Thanks to Chris for filling in last time for Two Towers. Great episode, great time. Jacob, we know you watched even though you were not on the episode. Do you have any quick kind of thoughts on Two Towers as we lead into the Return of the King? Yep, Cobb Corner.
I'll tell you, it was hard to. I didn't have a lot of time, so I was trying to fit in, 8 hours of movies in the last week, which was difficult. But I enjoyed it. I think you guys did a great job. Talking about it. You didn't mention my favorite character, Grima Wormtongue.
Oh,
which,
yeah. Your favorite.
Go back and listen to Halloween, normies. I talked about it. Brad Dourif. I always like him when he shows up, and, he's the best, right? Everyone wants to be like him.
Climbing the ladder. He's like a...
Everybody wants to be like him.
They're like Wormtongue.
But, I think you guys did a great job talking about it, and, I'm excited to talk about Return of the King.
Nice. Well, welcome back. We kind of started with the food metaphors with Two Towers, and we have the bottom bun is our fellowship. It's our foundation. Then we have the pastrami all in the middle. And then now we're getting our top bun, nice toasted, brioche here. So it's the Return of the King,
right.
the finish, the season, the sizzle, all these plot threads that were set up. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But guys, how was it watching it all extended? Colin, what version did you watch?
100% extended. Like Jacob, time crunch. I was rushing a little. You had made the comment, Mike, about how long this one was in the last episode. You're really not fucking kidding.
No.
It's been a long time since I've seen Return of the King. Kind of a lukewarm take. I'm going to get into it. An interesting reaction I didn't expect, but I was so fucking happy to be watching these movies again. I've just been having such a good time coming to Middle-earth with my buddies here all month long.
Awesome. Jacob, you said it was a struggle. Did you watch extended as well?
Yeah, I did. I watched all the extendeds. Another moment from Two Towers I'm just remembering that you guys forgot to mention or didn't mention. My favorite in Helm's Deep, when the elves show up, like a bunch of, just bros showing up, teaming up with the men. Helm's Deep was great, but I think I prefer the battles in Return of the King. And I always used to say this was my favorite. I still think Fellowship is maybe the best movie of the three, but obviously this is the big finale and the one that won all the Oscars and everything, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, awesome.
Wow.
And Joe, how about you? I know you did the extended Two Towers. You really got in there. What was the decision you made for this?
I kept rolling on the extended.
Wow.
It did take two sittings, though, I'll be honest. So when we got off the pod last week talking about Two Towers, I was hot on Hobbits, ready to just keep rolling into the next one. And the time, man, it got the better of me. I started snoozing at like 12:30, 12:45, and there was still
by hour
almost 2
4,
hours.
Joe, yeah, you were losing it a little.
Yeah, so it took two sittings, but I did the extended, and I'm super excited to talk about it. This was a really fun watch for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Go ahead.
I don't watch any of them in one sitting, really, or I haven't. I just fit them in when I can, an hour here or there, because, I'm a busy guy, obviously. So
Yeah.
it took me a few
I'm a
sittings.
busy
obviously.
guy, obviously.
Yeah.
All right.
But I was traveling last week, so I had to fit them in when I could. And,
Right.
it was great, though.
Yeah, I too was traveling
Mike?
over the weekend. Yeah, me and Chris went on a
Were you
little
happy
trip.
to be back?
Yeah, it was great to come back, but we watched it together, and he did give me some things he wanted me to mention on his behalf, which I'll get to at the
Amazing.
time. But we watched it all in one sitting because we're big Lord of the Rings nerds, and we were like, we can either go out of this hotel and spend money or watch Lord of the Rings, and we just watched Lord of the Rings last night, and it was a good time.
The right choice.
Last question before we get into it: theaters? Did we see this in theaters, Colin?
Oh yeah, and I was even trying to think, was this one where I did like 3 times? I think I had the autonomy by this point. Normies, I want to apologize. For the past 2 episodes, I keep messing up the timelines. Anytime I say like 2012, 2014, that's because I cannot imagine that these films were so long ago that it's actually 2002, 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
But I think by that point, yeah, I think I was getting rides, going with friends. I think checking in with people and going, we haven't seen Return of the King together. Yeah, let's go make that an appointment.
Nice. Jacob, how about you?
Well, I told you guys in the Fellowship episode, this is the one where I had a birthday party, probably my 13th birthday,
Nice.
2003. And we went to go see friggin' Return of the King. And, we all had a blast, obviously. Yeah.
Nice. Joe, how about you? Theaters for this one?
Oh yeah. No, I think at least I can think of at least 2 times off the top of my head. But like Colin said, like this was one of those. Okay, I'm rounding it out. Have I seen it with this friend group yet? I went with my family. I think it did. It came out around like Christmas time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I think it was either like a New Year's Day or something like that. Like doing another family screening. And I was like, what
Nice.
else are you gonna do? You go sit in that movie theater forever.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about, I saw this in theaters, obviously, opening night, very excited, and I always pride myself on the fact that I did not take a restroom break. I sat the whole time, and when those multiple endings start coming up, I was like, please, like, I got to get out of here.
Wow.
So we were really
No.
riding the line there. But yeah, just once in theaters and waited for the DVDs. What a journey, guys. So shall we get into the top bun here, the brioche, the Return of the King on Normies Like Us.
Sing me a song, Mike.
Wind and shadow.
Wait, let me eat some tomatoes really disgustingly.
I love that song. Yeah.
He's gotten some mileage out of that. He does that now.
Oh,
in,
yeah?
like comic appearances.
Oh,
and
sure.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, there's
Well, he doesn't have wasps to fall back on like Mary does,
or that wilderness show.
He was in an episode of Doom Patrol this season.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's weird.
Dominic
Like
Monaghan.
you really didn't see much Billy Boyd after these movies.
Billy Boyd.
It was also some character in Wolverine X-Men Origins. I don't remember.
right.
Nice.
He's like an electric mutant whose name escapes me right now.
Pippin.
That's right. He played the mutant Pippin.
Right.
Just the same, yeah.
We're back. We're jumping right in. We're talking about the Hobbits that kick this movie off. We're doing the Return of the King. It's a quick return. We were talking Two Towers, Jacob. We did miss a bunch of stuff. One thing we did talk about is how it ends in this, epic splitting of everything. Very quickly, this film, we're gonna wrap that up. You saw these 2 characters, little hobbits, smoking weed in the last movie. Well, guess what? Here's their human buddies who've been looking for them.
Yeah.
Everybody's reunited.
They had a little good time, got to celebrate defeating Saruman for a minute, and then, it's back to business.
Back to
But
business.
I forgot to mention about Two Towers. I really like the ecology subplot of Saruman, where it's basically like industrialization is bad, trees are good,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a fun scene because you do have them just chilling, smoking the long bottom leaf, finest
Long-bottom
pipe
leaf.
weed in the Shire. And then, like, they're just partying, and then, they're like, we've been out looking for you, man, where were you? It's like when you think you lose a guy at the bar, and then he's already back home, and you're like, what the hell? It's like, so it's fun.
Yeah.
It's very
Feels-
of them.
It feels so much like a D&D campaign at this point. Because it's like, literally you have like, okay, Joe and Colin went and did this dumb thing, and Mike and Cobb were going and doing this dumb thing, and then they get together and literally just have to explain everything that happened to each other. Like,
Right.
it starts and it just immediately feels like, well, I'm just watching D&D.
Yeah, and actually
Yeah.
on that note, like these really are like the prototypical D&D campaign. We mentioned like, he kind of invented the fantasy tropes that would go into becoming D&D and things like that, Tolkien. But now, like you look at even the scale of the adventures, where it's like, okay, we'll do one dungeon with one troll, and now we're at, you know, a war at Helm's Deep, a large scale battle. Now it's a full out war. Like your characters are getting leveled up, the threats are becoming bigger, and it is kind of at the
Take roll to
speed.
give the rousing speech to the troops to see if you win the Battle of Minas Tirith.
Charisma check.
Oh, nat 20. You can go ahead and climb that.
Oh,
that
shit.
fence.
Legolas is
Yeah, you
nat
can
20
do whatever
master.
Legolas does if you roll a 20.
Yeah, his dexterity is off the charts. But so they do kind of have all of that structure, and I found it interesting. But this is kind of the big finale for our heroes is right where it left off. We got to get to Gondor now because the forces of Mordor are moving, and meanwhile we have then Sam and Frodo and old Smeagol just trying to get the ring to Mount Doom. So those are kind of our two storylines that are happening simultaneously: the battle prep and the journey to get the ring to Mount Doom.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess we'll get into it.
So that's what's going on.
That's what's going on. What I did find striking is because this previous movie's all the meat, and now we have to tie up all these plot threads. So like things are happening, like even with Faramir, who doesn't even show up for an hour in. But anyway, Colin, what are your general impressions of this movie?
This is where I'm getting the issues, and I think it's why it's the awkward points to jump into. Is we got some great storytelling shortcuts of getting the party back together after splitting the group, some Dungeons and Dragons short terms, like we were saying. Now, Mike, it's exactly what you're saying as far as juggling those balls of a conclusion of, oh my God, the story's gotten unwieldy. Let's just jump around as much as we can and kind of wrap up as much as we can. And I think the pacing in this one really fumbles on that, and you really feel the randomness of, by the time you're having like, Aragorn's having like the third prophecy dream of characters who have prophecy dreams in this one, you're like, okay, we just need to there just needs to be a good flow of how this movie's going and how it's ending. But I do like it. I think it still does cohere and coalesce. I'd just be curious what you guys think of, when you hear someone say, this is a modern criticism, I think that happens a lot, of, yo, you don't need an origin movie for everything. Yo, why does The Flash need a movie before Justice League? Was there a Gandalf movie before Fellowship of the Rings? I don't think so, assholes. But to Mike's point of past podcasts, Orlando Bloom, Legolas, isn't really developed till the second movie. And modern blockbusters are trying to hit the casino jackpot of, you fall in love with one of these motherfuckers in the first movie, and then you'll get the more and more and more and more. Lord of the Rings didn't have that. I think that's what it's juggling here, if you guys agree.
Colin, I think, some characters get more developed in this movie, like Merry and Pippin. I think this is the most Merry and Pippin movie where they each have like their own arc. And then you have, Legolas and Gimli are still kind of just following Aragorn around doing whatever he does. But they have their whole thing where they have to go get the army of ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yes. And Jacob, but to
Very
your
D&D.
point of it's two Hobbits movies, I would say it's a different Hobbit movie. This is a Sam movie, but in service of not really being a Frodo movie. So it doesn't help its lead character.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I just think the Merry and Pippin of it all, I don't know if they got like additional scenes in the extended version, but they're just in this a lot more than I remember. And they have, so much of where, Pippin is off with Gondor and doing that thing. And then, or maybe I had them backwards, but Mary's going with, Rohan. And you have the great, Denethor character who's like the father from Dewey Cox, the wrong son died.
Basically,
and then he gets some great scenes where he gets to eat some food while listening to the most haunting song of all time.
Well, maybe that's the best way to tackle this, Jacob, is looking at like each storyline and build up to the most important ones. So like let's start with the big smokers themselves, Merry and Pippin, right? The big threat of this is Gondor has to get prepared, and Gandalf needs to warn them. So because Pippin, again, fool of a took, he has to look in the Seeing Stone.
Right.
Sauron.
But this they kind of had kind of had similar arcs in Two Towers, but they really kind of are almost reset back to their version of in Fellowship, where they're still bumbling around, especially Pippin, I guess, just getting into all sorts of trouble. But then over the course of this movie, they do mature, and I think that's a really good arc.
Yeah, because once the warriors show up, what do we need to do, right? So finding them something to do, and they're kind of different, like the way when Pippin goes to Gondor, he is seen as lesser than by Denethor, kind of looked down upon. Denethor as this huge asshole, right? And then to contrast that with Merry staying in Edoras and getting to know Éowyn and stuff, and he ends up pledging himself to Theoden, who's like, yeah, you're an equal, dude, like suit up, early on. So interesting kind of experiences that they each have two sides of that coin with their arcs.
And then with regard to the Frodo Sam storyline, I feel like there's a lot that kind of has to be dragged out to kind of make it fit where they keep flashing back. But I do think it's more of a Sam movie than a Frodo movie, where he gets rejected by Frodo, but then goes back and saves him. And so if it wasn't for Sam, obviously the ring never would have been destroyed. So good for you, Sam, right?
Yeah, it's more of like the perspective of trying to see someone struggle with a burden that you can't carry, but you want to help them as much as you can. That true friendship vibes. And again, this is bros being dudes +1.
Right.
Yeah, in this. Joe, what are your thoughts kind of on the general stories of this? Any of them that pop out to you, these subplots?
I really love this one on a rewatch. I'll be honest. Like
Really?
the first 3 hours to me are the fastest that any of these movies feel, and then the last hour is like, holy shit, this feels like forever. I like the way they wrap up Merry and Pippin. I like that you kind of get like, hey, you do have that kind of like character reset, like you're saying, Jacob, but I think that's just to reaffirm like the end of their journey, which works for me.
Right.
But like I would argue at this point, like it's not even like Frodo's not the main character. The first one's called The Fellowship of the Ring. You meet all of these people, and this one's called Return of the King. Frodo ain't the king. This is an Aragorn movie to me, and I love seeing those three together. And the army of frighteners, like, come on, you fucking controls a ghost army. Like,
so
it
right,
doesn't get any cooler to me.
I was literally thinking about that Frighteners was the movie that he set up Weta Digital to do, and then in Return of the King, he's like, "We're doing Ghost, baby," full circle.
Should I
Right.
put ghosts
Frighteners
in
are
this
back.
thing?
Yeah,
of
incredible.
course.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Aragorn, he has to take his place as the true heir to the kingship of Gondor, and become the king, right? The Return of the King.
He must set aside the
Misthalor.
ranger. Yeah. And that's kind of the main stuff as far as where we're getting to in the plot. So I guess we could just kind of talk about scenes that you like as we go through, whatever we want. We're just going to freestyle it. But after that opening and getting to Gondor, we do meet Denethor, who is the biggest piece of shit. And then we get Faramir, because Joe, you're saying like, oh, some of these new characters in Two Towers you could forget about. But now, like Éowyn and Faramir, they're getting more to do, and you get more of his backstory. And so maybe it's hindsight being 2020, where knowing what his story is now, if you rewatch Two Towers, would you feel differently?
Maybe I can still leave all those characters behind, as far as I'm concerned. Like, look, if you have to, if you have to watch a movie in multiple sittings, like that's a problem, right? Like a movie is, you're supposed to sit down and watch a movie. I could do without all of that. I would love a 6-hour cut of The Lord of the Rings that's just everything in one.
It must exist.
Yeah, it's got to. But like, yeah, the new characters, whatever. I really don't care. I really don't care about them at all. But I'm so engrossed in everything else that I let it slide.
So
I really like the.
I wish the wrong son died. Jacob, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
The wrong son died.
There's nothing
Faramir. I was
for
gonna
you?
say about Two
Like,
Towers.
too mean for the sake of being mean. Like, I don't
So
know.
mean.
I really
It's like
the,
Halloween, like your uncle's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Well, he's the
The
personification of
Faramir
the weakness of men. Sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
Oh no. I was just gonna say the Faramir stuff in Two Towers I actually really liked because I didn't remember. I think it was a lot of that was added in the extended version, and I think it really fits with the flashback with Boromir and everything. You understand what Faramir's whole deal was, because I think even when I was younger, I was like, I kind of agreed with Joe, where I was like, who's this fucking guy? Like, why do I care? But like the contrast with Boromir, it really worked for me in this. And then Denethor, he doesn't really get redeemed, but you kind of understand where he's coming from, because he was driven just mad by the loss of Boromir first, and then he sends Faramir out on like a suicide mission basically, and then just loses his mind. But all that stuff really worked for me this time.
I watched this movie less than a week ago, and every one of those fucking names is lost on me. Like,
Tomato guy.
What does Minas Tirith mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely fucking nothing. You got
the wrong son died. And then you get the memes of Denethor lighting himself on fire and jumping off the.
Yeah, wild. As a kid, one of the most interesting things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and the scene that really stands out to me is obviously mentioned it a little earlier. Merry, or I guess Pippin, just singing the most haunting song you'll ever hear, contrasted with Denethor eating cherry tomatoes in the most disgusting way possible. And contrast that with Faramir riding out. That's a great scene, just by itself. And then you get the whole funeral and he dousing himself and lighting himself on fire. Like all that stuff really works for me.
Yeah,
it gives me real Snyder Cut vibes.
Fair
Why?
enough. Opinion's valid.
But you see how Rohan, the leadership of Rohan was corrupted by Saruman with the old king and everything. So now contrast with Gondor, the steward of Gondor, and you see what's going on there. You see why Aragorn needs to return and become the king.
And Denethor wasn't corrupted; he was just a shitty leader.
Yeah.
But all of that is just keeping me away from Viggo Mortensen leading a ghost army, though. Like, it's
the
keeping
ghost
me
army
away from like the bro who's trying to help his bro who's like about to become a drug addict. Like, they're not bad. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't need them. Like, I'm invested in this other stuff.
There's a homeless guy who has cleaned himself up by this film. He's looking so good, other than these crazy teeth that he has, but that's okay. His girlfriend is going to kind of commit suicide, and then she's going to become a person. He's like, that's cool, baby. I got this awesome sword. Guess what it does? It helps me control Ghostbusters 2, and I can just go out and just take control of this army. And I as a kid, again, the fantasy stuff, what's the best part of fantasy is monsters and ghoulies and stuff. So getting more of that, it's like, this is what you've been wanting in Lord of the Rings, right, Joe?
Oh, 1,000%, man. Like, the first, like the running. First of all, they come off a fucking pirate ship, right? You got the big three, like getting off a pirate ship to
Jack Sparrow
some
is with
looking
them.
orcs. Yeah, and then they just like holds it up like a lightsaber, and like a green ghost comes out of it. Like I don't know, man.
This is the ending we wanted for Rise of Skywalker.
Hyped.
Give me all the Force ghosts.
Yeah,
please.
Give me that, right? But
that's not my favorite part because I think the look of the ghost works for me, but practically they're kind of a Deus Ex Machina because you can't really fight back unless you're Aragorn. I guess you just go right through them. So they just come over and just annihilate everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
like there's one shot in the background where you just see them like swarm an elephant and take it down like in the battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, man. I think that's so cool.
And he wrote the Eagles, so say what you want about Deus Ex Machina, we'll get there eventually. But
there's little flying eagles. It's like, oh, the Eagles are here now. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so we'll save the Eagles.
Point, it is interesting that people are like, yeah, those Eagles, that's so convenient. Well, there was also an undead army that was
invincible
that only one person could
the main character.
Yeah.
Only the coolest, most handsome
fight back
guy.
against ghosts.
I'm here for all of that though, and Giant Spider.
Yeah.
Like I really like all of the set pieces in this movie.
Incredible.
Like, to me, the action worked better than ever before. Two Towers, I felt like we were meandering a little bit. It was kind of planting seeds. Yeah, those seeds pay off in Return of the King, but I don't really give a shit. Like I stand by. Like, I don't need those extra characters. I get that they service the plot well, but like if you take them out, the movie at its core is exactly the
Sam
same.
Frodo Warriors 3. That's kind of your vibe.
Well, let me ask. Yeah. I just want to ask this before we even move forward. Then to what Joe's saying of this is the best. This is why. The payoff of it, of course, it wins 11 Academy Awards. It wins all the Academy Awards it is nominated for. Joe, is this a film you would say is a best director, a best picture, all that stuff?
I think it's culturally fucking fascinating that it was, right? Because Endgame, the MCU, like they couldn't do any of that. You know what I mean? Like this is the Star Wars sequels. They didn't do that. Like that
No,
was
you don't get an Oscar for picking up Mjolnir Cap, but for saying for Frodo, that's a fucking
Yeah.
you get gold for that, baby.
like this was
Well-
when this was the height of like, ooh, this stuff's cool. Now it's like, I don't know, like about 5 years ago, it became uncool to think anything is cool. So like, you're never gonna see stuff like that nominated again. I don't think.
Well, not to take anything away from Marvel and the MCU, but I do think, Endgame. I don't know. It's hard to compare those because it feels like Lord of the Rings will stand the test of time better than any of the Marvel movies, which I enjoy a lot of them. But I don't feel like as epic as Endgame and Infinity War could be at times. I don't think it'll be look back as like classic cinema in the way that Lord of the Rings will.
Yeah, and when
I mean,
look
we're
at,
gonna talk like the Hobbit shit. Like that didn't stick. They didn't
No,
sweep
yeah.
everything. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
Like it
Definitely not.
was special. It was a lightning in a bottle situation.
yeah,
I think Mike was right that the better comparison is Rise of Star Wars, in that it's the capper to a thing that it could have just
Yeah.
been handled poorly, but they didn't. They didn't fumble the ball.
and I look at those Academy Awards as kind of awarded on the back of the entire trilogy as a whole. As a thing that was executed in the film industry, I think it's a lot of that, because even like early reviews from Ebert and stuff was like, it's a pretty good movie, but then by the end he's like, this is a culturally relevant, very important trilogy, the final chapter.
Right.
Like everyone had come around like, this is amazing that they made one of these good, let alone three of them, and it's like little bits for that.
Well, I think the major difference maybe between Star Wars and Marvel compared to this trilogy is that it has source material that it's based on. So I think as hard as it is to make something good, it's I think a little easier to adapt something that's already good, like the books, rather than to have to make up a whole new trilogy like with Star Wars, where they had to sort of make it nostalgic but not too much, or people would complain. So they were trying to, they're on a knife's edge, which they didn't really work out. And then with Marvel, same thing. They have to make up their own stories, even if they're some of them are adapted from comic storylines. But with this, it more or less follows the plot of the book, so you have that guideline to at least make sure it doesn't end up as like a total train wreck or something.
And Tolkien gave you the answer to every question you never had. Like, it's such a dense source that it's like, what kind of wood do the dwarves use for their axe handles? He probably told you.
Right. Right, exactly.
So
But
it's hard
Jacob,
to stay on the path. Yeah.
That source material ends with, and then all your characters get on a boat and they go to heaven. You very well could mess that up. It is impressive that it's not.
Well, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. Peter Jackson did a great job at like making that, streamlining the story into a movie plot, basically, or 3 movie plots in a way that makes sense with 3 acts in every movie and all that stuff. So definitely it's a huge accomplishment, but I still think it's a little bit easier to take that source material and make it into something good rather than to create a whole original trilogy or something
You have
like
story beats, and it was originally 1 book. They cut it into 3 to publish it that way. So it's
Yeah.
like, if the second movie's weird, it's because it has sort of a conclusion, but then I've just met new characters like 45 minutes ago, and like that's why it's kind of weird, and I get where Joe's coming from. And then this is trying to pay all that off. So Joe said too, this is the fastest 3 hours. There is a lot happening compared to Fellowship or Two Towers.
Yeah.
So this is the one where the
it's
most
loaded.
happens. Yeah. So like I want to talk about Aragorn's thing real quick, just like because I love the imagery and I'm a nerd. Like, Narsil is literally the broken sword, literally the broken line of kings, right? No one will take it up. But
Right.
it's supposed to be Aragorn, and then they reforge it into Elendil, and he has to literally take the symbol of man's failure and use it to right the ship. I love that stuff. And yeah, the Return of the King, it is an Aragorn movie, and I love his arc. And even Legolas and Gimli are scared to go into that cave. He's like, the ghost, and he's like, fuck it, I gotta do king shit. Yeah.
He's like, I don't give
a
a
great
shit,
leader.
man. It's time to be a king. I adore it. I think the first 3 hours is all killer, no filler. They stick the landing, and then they stay on stage for 45 minutes and just pat themselves on the back, and I fucking hate it.
I think they earned it, but you can just turn it off.
Well, they have to. Yeah, everyone has to meet in that bedroom.
Oh, the laughter.
There's like a 15-minute sequence, and I remember it so vividly, seeing it the first time, being like, what the fuck is going on? watching it this time, it was like, this is outrageous.
Here's something.
Slow-mo smiles of every character.
So it's literally a Broadway,
I like it.
and the players. But
yeah.
let me say
totally
one
right,
thing
right.
I noticed, because we're talking about how little Legolas knows Frodo.
Oh yeah.
When they all come in, he's like, Gandalf,
Gimli.
there, Sam, and then he just looks at Legolas. He doesn't say his name because he doesn't know who that guy is.
I had the
And
same
you're
thought. I
here.
was like, does he even know his name? Because he says Gimli right before that, and then Legolas steps in. He's
Gimli.
like, "Hey, you!"
He's just.
Hey,
This
Gimli's
guy.
friend.
So
Yeah.
I like that he has no idea who Legolas is. Because they at least say
That
Gimli's
sequence
name in
is
Fellowship.
like, what a fucking acid trip that sequence is. It's just so
bizarre.
disarming, and like the whole movie is so gray. It's like a gorgeous dark gray, blue, maroon, like a really deep color palette. Blow all of that out with the softest white
overexposed.
light you've ever seen.
Yeah, what should we color balance? I'm gonna point it at the sun.
Yeah, but that's
So
like
weird.
the.
Everyone looks so soft. It's
It's
so
really
the
bizarre,
happy.
man.
You know, everyone's
Heaven.
happy. The ring is destroyed.
Well, and
Uh,
there could be a
It
reading
ends
of
six
this.
fucking times.
Well,
Well, no,
yeah,
but
And they
I
fade to
like-
black.
I'll tell you
That's
why,
the
because-
worst. They really trick
when
you.
Sam says, "I don't think this is something we're going to return from," there could be a reading that World War I style, as this is sort of drawing upon, maybe they just fucking die in the trenches, and this is just
Right.
them just spacing out, right?
Yeah.
So they get this, the extended, everyone's all right, everyone's happy. Then they go back to the Shire, but here's why I like it, because it's kind of a
skipped one
bittersweet.
ending.
I'm
Yeah.
changed.
You
I'm
skipped the
changed,
Star
Sam.
Wars ending where
Oh, yeah, they-
Aragorn
well-
was crowned
Oh,
and everyone's
of course,
like,
they get the medal.
I thought that was
The
the.
Wookiee
Yeah.
gets the medal, Joe.
That's
Gimli
right. Yeah,
there's like
doesn't
four
die. He's
endings,
just
you're right,
left
but-
to the side.
But when they go back to the Shire, it's bittersweet because for Frodo, it's like he has PTSD from the war. So it's like he can never truly be back home because he just feels the effects of the ring. So obviously he has to go off on the ship to the Greylands with the elves, right?
Well, yeah, and there's. Joe loves it. Joe
Not
loves it. If you're watching on
PTSD, Joe.
YouTube.
You wouldn't understand.
It's
You have to
serious.
carry the ring.
I get
But
it. I get it.
It
yeah.
is, but it's interesting because it's not just Frodo. Like all four of them, when they go back, they're sitting in the Green
Yeah.
Dragon and like, oh, watch the pumpkin, and they're doing Hobbit shit. Like they have a
Not
look
the
where it's
same.
like, it's never going to be the same, and we'll never be able to relate to
Can't
them
go back.
the same way
Yeah,
again.
no, Hobbit shit don't
Just eat
matter
too
to me
much shit.
anymore. I've killed orcs.
But literally, it's like World War One. They've seen too much shit in the trenches, and now it's like returning to home life is impossible.
You can't just go
Drink
back to
as
the
much as you can.
It's
Yeah.
it's a real thing, and like this is a
Yeah.
good change from the book because they kill Sauron in the beginning. He falls off the tower. He lives. They're just basically like, all right, Sauron, you can't do evil anymore. Stay up there. Bye. We got to go. And so he ends up taking like a couple hundred orcs or something to the Shire and attacks it. And the hobbits end up defending the Shire, killing the orcs. And then it's like, we saved the day because we learned how to fight. But I prefer that it's untouched in the films. And like it's literally
Right.
this alien place now that they've saved it, but they can't go back to it. That's way more powerful, I think, to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And Frodo, like Bilbo, doesn't tell his friends he's leaving either. He springs it on them last minute, just like on the 111st birthday party of Fellowship. They're like poetry, and they rhyme. I thought that stuff all works for me. It's very poignant. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the appropriate way. All of them went to war. Merry, fought a freaking fell beast, or fought the Night Witch King, and Pippin fought a fell beast with Gandalf. Like, they seen
Right.
some shit.
Yeah.
Guys in this movie,
Fucking
Mike,
Witch
there's
King.
a
There's
there's
some
a motherfucking
stuff.
Witch King, and Jacob. Last time we talked
I
to
am no
Chris,
man.
Chris very eloquently set up something I've never thought of before, which is truly that the end of that film goes, ooh, there's going to be a female antagonist in the next one, and you meet it in this, and it's Shelob, a gigantic spider,
Right.
I guess
Not
of a
Helob.
female gender. But do you love Shelob?
Not Helob.
Uh,
That's subtle
yeah,
and
it's
good.
It's funny because when these movies were coming out, the Harry Potter movies were coming out around the same time, right? And there's a giant spider in the second one, right? Chamber of Secrets.
Aragog, who's better?
So I think
Good memory,
Shelob
Mike.
is better, but Aragog is like bigger and like can talk, so it's like different, I guess. But when I was younger, I had more of a bit of arachnophobia. Like I don't really anymore because I'm not not afraid of nothing anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
an adult.
Yeah, he's a
but,
big boy now. He's
Yeah.
scared of spiders.
But when I was a kid, I was like, damn, why are all these fucking movies that have giant spiders in them? It's like, I'm not a fan of it. But
Because
no,
little boys are
great.
scared of them, dog.
Well,
That's
Peter
exactly
Jackson's
why.
scared of him too. He said he took everything he thought was scary about spiders and put it into one single spider. And that's what the design for Shelob was.
It works.
Yeah,
really
I think
well,
it works
man.
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, even
There's
though
some great horror elements, like in the way it's shot, and like the use of sound in that whole sequence is really smart.
yeah, back to his roots, man. The horror influence and origins of Peter Jackson really comes in handy a lot in just building tensions, whether it's a scary scene like this or even with the battles. Horror is a balance of tension and release, right? And he knows how to do that. And that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This one, I was the stark difference in the Hobbit sizes throughout this movie. There's some big inconsistencies. Like sometimes they're like 2 feet tall. Like there's one
Yeah.
Doing the
one
best
shot,
they can, you know.
and I think in like the
Like
third
half-
ending where they like zoom out and it's like, oh, those are just like children. Like the lollipop gang is here.
Yeah, if you see them
but then-
next to normal people, they're supposed to come up like halfway, basically. Like they're
Yeah.
half the size of a
Halflings,
human
maybe?
male.
They
Yeah.
do such a good job of the spider being so scary, but I kept like pulling myself out of the scene, being like, wonder what it would look like if the Warriors 3 were fighting this thing.
Oh,
Like
I've
how
never
much
thought
more
about
Full-size
gross
guy,
would
yeah.
this fight be?
That's a good.
Because it would be like, you know, a little more of a fair fight, but like I feel like it'd be way grosser in a weird way.
Like to him, it's like 2 elephants, but to a normal person, it's like 1 elephant. Like maybe you could do it. Well, here's what I want to know about the scale, Watt, since you brought that up. Who do you think is the giant male and female hands that are caressing their faces when you just see Gandalf's sleeve and shit? They use a larger than normal hand, right?
I don't know. One time when he has the horse and he has Pippin, he goes, "Now we're in Gondor territory." He has like a little baby boy that he's just like holding on his horse. And it's like, Ian McKellen, get away from that child.
Yeah, that's a toddler all of a sudden. Like they range from like the size of a 3-year-old to the size of a 12-year-old, depending on like what the shot is.
Yeah.
Well, they had scale doubles and all kinds of tricks, CG and all that. But yeah, it is funny to think about the spider. And then even the orc who comes out, like, yeah, a normal dude would just take that guy out, you know, like a normal sized warrior.
Right.
He's got a great
Yes.
walk cycle though, skulking with that knife. But this, I guess, well, I was going to say now, you know, we've had like Sam has to then take the ring up, but is this is after the split. We didn't even talk about the breakup, you know, the gaslighting of Smeagol, right? Because that's what leads us into Aragog's domain is Smeagol's betrayal, basically. He's telling Frodo, he's going to ask you for the ring. I see. He's always looking at it. You know, he's doing shady shit, dude. And then
That hobbit gonna eat all the bread. I'm telling you, that guy's gonna eat your bread.
Yeah. Gollum in this movie, actually, Gollum was the best. He had the best arc in Two Towers, where he started out, he wanted to follow Frodo as his master, but he, you know, was betrayed in his eyes by Frodo. So then he finally gives in to his evil side, Gollum, and decides to lead them to Shelob, right?
to get the ring back. And that's a
And,
good distinction. Just quick, I think looking at Two Towers as a Smeagol movie, is Smeagol's in that and Gollum is in this. And that's
Right.
That is good.
And you even get
That is
the background introduction of how Smeagol first got the ring, hanging out with his friend Deagle.
Great
right?
opening.
yeah, what do you
scene.
think about that?
Man, I love that scene. I thought that whole sequence was so good. The body horror of like the transitionary
That's
period,
Yeah.
so good.
Eating that
He looked
fish.
grosser in
Cool.
some of his
Great.
transition phases than he did as Gollum, really.
Yeah, he got
God,
cuter.
it's bread. Guys.
Jacob, we talked a little bit about if we thought he held up. What do you think about the look of Gollum in these films?
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, it does hold up. And because he has very expressive eyes, too. So even the face close ups like work really well because he can act with his eyes. And it was like obviously revolutionary at the time, but to still hold up today, I mean, it looks better than CG that's in some movies that come out today. Like fucking Venom. This,
Mhm.
you know,
Sure.
CG is better in this movie than Venom, too.
We're
Let there be
20
carnage.
years
Well,
removed.
think about Alita Big Eyes Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even her eyes, large as they are, cannot compete with Smeagol and Gollum.
No.
Yeah. But he starts, you know, having those conversations with himself, like in the water, And like it's like maybe you shouldn't talk about killing them out loud next to them. And Sam hears it, and immediately it's violence time. So Sam is kind of maybe over the line. I don't know. He just hits him with a pot. Not the best play, maybe.
Not
What do you do?
once. Not once is he over the
weakness
line.
Should have gone for the head, I guess. Yeah.
He hasn't
Gollum's
eaten
biggest
in
weakness is he has
days.
to talk to himself to, you
Yeah.
know, air out all his thoughts, and then
Mm-hmm.
Sam over here.
Yeah, no inner
Look,
monologue.
we saw that
is the
guy
big weakness.
at the top of our journey, and he was skulking around, and the leader was like, "Yeah, that guy. It's sad. It's a sad story. You don't want to talk to that
Never
guy."
trust him.
And then your buddy is like, "Okay, I'm gonna be best friends with that guy."
Yeah.
You're like, no, absolutely the fuck not. I just heard him say he's gonna kill us. At the end of the last movie, he's like pacing around the woods, being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna feed him to a giant spider." Okay, hey, come on, guys. It's like, no,
Look,
no,
That's
Gandalf
true, yeah.
was right.
I mean, Sam
If
was
they
right.
killed Gollum in the beginning, Sam and Frodo would have never made it to the volcano. So they needed him alive. Everything had to happen how it happened, or they wouldn't have gotten to the
Or it wouldn't have
volcano, I
happened.
think, is what Gandalf
Well,
was
and
basically
to-
thinking in the beginning.
To that point, Jacob, this is the first time I've ever watched this film where I really felt the machinations and impact of, the stuff where Aragorn's making the plan to draw Sauron's eye, which, progresses the duo forward. If Gollum didn't do this, that you do feel those dominoes. Now, again, just to compare it to something else you said, I will say it doesn't feel as satisfying as like Harry Potter's Deathly Hallows Part 2, where I think that works much more servicing the lead character. Again, that is more of a Harry Potter film, although like Joe's saying, these are ring films. The lead character in these movies are a ring, I guess.
it's the Brotherhood is the
Well,
main character.
Yeah,
The
Frodo
main
as the
character
main
is the friendships we
character.
made along the way.
Yes,
Frodo
exactly.
kind of
True.
gets sidelined by the nature of the story. Basically,
Yes.
Frodo and Sam and Gollum's story is happening completely separate from everything else that's happening. So all the other plot
That's
stuff
hard.
that's happening.
It's hard to
yeah,
pull off.
right.
Yeah. And like Joe said, the friends you made along the way are the real main character. It is like, it's the story of conflict over power from the micro to the macro level of how does it affect a nation, a king, a town, and a little hobbit. And it's looking at all of it. And that's what he tried to cover in the book. So it is hard to do cinematically. And it does drag, not in a bad way for me, but it's like you feel exhausted by the time you're getting to the end of this with Sam and Frodo.
like that,
you
Mike.
are worn out, and I don't know if that's on purpose or
yeah.
just because it's long, but you feel it.
For sure.
You feel thirsty, tired,
Yeah.
hungry.
To that point, Mike, the hunger that I have talked about this entire time, where we did Fellowship, and it was like, can I just watch Two Towers now? I mean, Joe, you said when we finished that one, you immediately put Return of the King on. When
That's
this
how
one was
I've
over,
done all of these. Is
Hey.
the second it was over, I went and watched
All
it.
right, do you want to run to The Hobbit right now after this incredibly draining third epic? 5
No, I'm
hours
done.
long. Yeah,
I'm done.
exactly. It's just
We'll
like,
see you in
man,
3 weeks.
fuck Bilbo Baggins.
It it fucking it sticks the landing to me. It really does. It was really satisfying. This is my favorite rewatch of a movie I've done specifically for the pod. Because they are not my typical rotation. I probably wouldn't have watched these movies for another 5 years if we didn't cover them on the show. But I'm really glad that we did, because Return of the King, I really enjoyed it, man. It got me hankering for a D&D campaign. Like everything paid off for me really well. I just hate the ending. I just hate, like, I pick one, dog. You can have everyone,
No,
have
they're
a
all
pillow fight.
they're all great.
Don't
can-
kill yourself. That's my
No,
issue
it's-
with it.
You
A
need it's
pillow
an epic.
fight.
It needs
B-
multiple endings.
It doesn't. This to me is like this, and like a lot of movies, they all do that. Like Revenge of the Sith is another great example of, like, just pick a fucking ending and have that be your ending. I don't need 6 of them.
I hear you on the long endings. Let's talk about some of the other characters that have endings. Like we see, you don't like Faramir, right? We have Eowyn, who is with Theoden, right?
Yeah.
We get to see him going into battle with Aragorn, right? And then you see Aragorn learning how to deal with another king tactically. Like, you're seeing Aragorn level up, but along the way, Eowyn and Merry sneak into the battle, and so that's kind of her arc. And then
Yeah.
We get the Witch King
Eowyn-
fight. We can talk about that. Probably the biggest badass moment any female gets in these books and movies.
That was the original.
period.
I think in Endgame when all the female Marvel characters team up, this is the original girls get it done moment, right?
Right, and it's in the
The
book.
original "Not My Daughter" bitch.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
That's what it is. Yeah.
You guys,
But yeah, this happens
you
in the
guys-
books too, so it's before any movie really because it was.
And they're
written
still
so long ago.
following in its footsteps.
Yeah.
Do you like the riddle of no man can kill me?
Well, I don't think it should be
Fine with
literal
it,
because
yeah.
it's like. I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be taken as literally. I guess.
I don't think there's a magic spell that says if you present as male, like you
Let me see
cannot
that
inflict
dick.
damage upon that guy, right? Like
There's
There's another piece of media where it's like not born by a woman, and they're like, "Ha! It was a cesarean," and is it Macbeth?
oh
Wait,
yeah, there's something
I
like
can't
I think it is.
Yeah.
Is
Like
there something like that in Macbeth? And yeah, that just comes up. That riddle just comes up in a lot of stuff where people write and they go, "You didn't think of this wording, though."
There's
I
a
hate it.
similar riddle in Buffy actually where there's a
Actual size. Is that what you're?
no there's well I was thinking there's this guy that basically there's a prophecy that like no weapon forged can be used against him, so Buffy just shoots him with a rocket launcher and that kills him.
because it wasn't
It's
forged.
not a forged
She
weapon.
didn't make it.
See, I love it.
Yeah.
Great.
I think he was just gassing himself up, and he just happened to underhand her the perfect pitch. He was just being a badass.
Mike, the perfect pitch. He rolls up on his mini dragon and goes, "Bitch, this is a mini dragon. Don't even try it." And she cuts its head off, and he's like, "The audacity!"
he gets off. No man can kill me.
Big Cobra Commander energy from the Witch King.
Yes, yes,
I didn't
thank
remember
you,
him
no.
being that snarky.
No,
Like,
he's not gonna fight you. He's just
I
gonna
didn't
talk
remember
about it.
the guy I didn't
Sorry,
remember
yes,
is
Joe,
the
you're out of the band. The
guy that shows up
down.
at the Black Gate and is like, "Oh, my master
Oh,
Sauron."
that's the mouth
sent
of
me."
Sauron.
Sauron.
Yeah, I did not remember that guy.
Extended
Love
only
him.
for him.
Only in the
Well,
extended. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
reason.
really? That is
yeah.
one of my favorite moments in this watch. He's like,
And Aragorn
you
just
guys
goes up.
talking all this shit, and Aragorn's like, okay.
Yeah.
Just cuts his
Then-
head
That's
off.
the
Come on,
negotiations
man.
ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
most Dark Souls dude in these movies. is the
But
mouth of Sauron.
Eowyn, I think her love triangle with Aragorn sort of is interesting because
Oh yeah,
I
Aragorn
guess,
breaks up with her before he goes to get the ghosts.
well, I always just feel like she kind of has a crush on him. He's not that into her, obviously.
I could be your
because,
granddad. Like, come on.
Yeah, he's 87. His true love is like an immortal elf, and then she's just a normal ass person. Like she never really had a chance with Aragorn, but she ends up with Faramir, so
Ooh.
everyone's happy in the end.
No,
right?
wrong.
Yeah, she's the werewolf boy.
She settles with Faramir, but here's the real ship. It should have been her and Short King marry.
And
Like,
Mary.
that is the relationship
Yeah.
to last of all
I
time.
got a big wife.
She's supporting him. She's like, why
Big
should you
wife.
doubt him? She talks to Carl Urban like, don't you talk shit. That's my man, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
dude,
That would be
she's
good,
great.
right?
And they defeat the Witch
She
King
identifies
together.
with him because they're both underestimated, but they both go into battle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the one
Oh.
true ship.
That's my
And
new
what-
headcanon, Mike. I love it.
It's
Thank you.
The only thing I've ever wanted Animal House style of credits at the end that tell me where these people go is just she's gonna have a story for the rest of her life that's like, one time they told me I couldn't join the army, and then I fucking killed a dragon, and this guy said no man may slay me, and I was like, shut the fuck up.
She's been telling this story at
Yeah.
the
I
local
wanna
bar
know.
for 70 years.
Right.
Yeah,
Because she just
exactly.
settles with Faramir, who's not a king, and then what do? You killed the Witch King. You're
But
badass.
Faramir,
Yeah,
Faramir
just lead
is
an
the
army.
new steward of
Right in the
Gondor.
face too, which
Yeah,
I love.
yeah.
Like,
Well, no, is he going to be the steward of Gondor? Aragorn's the king of all men now. Is he just
Yeah,
going to sit there?
because Aragorn is king of like Gondor and other
The Numenorians.
yeah.
all that.
So
Yeah.
I think Faramir is kind of like his lieutenant that
Water
watches
this
over-
tree. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I had a couple of casting notes too about both Two Towers and this, but I mentioned Grima Wormtongue, the best. Éomer, right? Éomer. I never realized that was Carl Urban. from
course.
Star Trek and The Boys and Dread. I never put that together. So I always watched that as a kid. I never knew who that was, and now I'm really like, oh, I know that guy.
It's a pretty big part in this one, Jacob. He's in every scene where they're in a council meeting. He's in the background just nodding.
Yeah, and I think he becomes the new king of Rohan from the books. But
yeah, I wonder. Oh no, I'm just saying. Wondering what Ao means in that language, because we have Aowin, Aomer, and then Theoden. Like, is the th prefix gonna for the king? Will he become Theomer when he's king? Tell me, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Could be.
And is it horse
That's
related?
That's a question he would love to answer for you too.
He probably has a detailed explanation.
Syntax and fictional.
It probably means horse lord in the native tongue. Yeah. Ao,
oh, and speaking of horse lords, my other favorite character that you guys didn't mention from Two Towers, friggin' Shadowfax, the king of all horses, the best horse in the world.
Jacob,
Shadowfax is
when
great.
he introduces him, Gandalf goes, and of course, this is Shadowfax, who's carried me out of many days. The king of all horses, you know?
Yeah,
he's a beautiful white horse.
Gandalf has friends in high places. He literally chills with the king of all horses.
No way do you ride the king of all horses, you fucking ass.
Most majestic horse. I love him.
Yeah, and I just feed him.
So I was really disappointed there was no Shadowfax mentioned last week, but man, what a horse! What a horse!
What a horse!
Well, can I throw it to my favorite Gandalf scene in this one? Is he on the horse when it happens? Is it outside? Yes, because he's battling the Nazgul. When the fucking his staff explodes.
Yeah.
And we had dual wielding Gandalf this entire time. I'll talk about the video game, I guess, probably at the end here. But in this, when he just goes straight to the sword by the end of it, it's awesome.
Yeah, he's doing some cool fight moves. And Gandalf is a Maiar, so he's not actually a human, but he's a basically a mortal angel. And Sauron,
it's not wrong.
The wizards are like the words
manifestations of angels. Yeah.
Hold on, let's hear it.
Not on that list.
No.
Yeah, well, there's the Valar in the this is all in the Silmarillion and all that, but Sauron is a fallen Valar who's like a fallen angel who becomes the Dark Lord. So Gandalf's kind of on the same level, but he's a lesser. He's a Maiar, which is like a lesser Valar, I think. And Saruman is as well. All the wizards are Radagast the Brown.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them, and they're like legit a different race.
So he's not actually a human. He just takes the human form. But now that his duty is done, that's why he leaves too at the end and goes on the ship because he's like, my duty here is done.
Right? And that's why he doesn't die.
Fucking mind. You hit me with an Anakin Skywalker. Are you an angel?
I didn't
expect that at all.
Everybody knows.
You didn't think Gandalf was just a normal human, did you?
Yeah, did you?
Are there any normal humans? I can get like Aragorn's 1,000.
Really, yeah,
the other one's an elf. The other one's a dwarf. Yeah. I just assumed a wizard was a race.
Basically, it is. That's what a Maiar. They're just a race. But
they're like demigods or angels, basically.
Well, everybody knows that when the universe was created and the gods tried to play their tune, Melchior would only play a dissonant chord to create chaos amongst the harmony.
Right,
that
and
is
he
the origin
coerced a lot of the. So Melkor is the original Dark
Lord.
He's
the Joka baby,
Sauron.
and then basically Sauron is the manifestation of that vibe that's been around since the beginning of time. Somebody just wants to fuck shit up.
And the Balrogs are also
I dare you both.
Let's do it. We're hijacking this. Yeah. No, but it does come back together.
When he has a sword and there's ghosts.
I like when he cuts the head off the dragon.
I do,
but thematically, though.
The violence.
Yeah, but I'll bring it back. I'll bring it full circle. We'll get to the violence. The idea is there was always one god that was just fucking shit up for everybody because he wanted to. And then all right, we got the kings of men and these armies are trying to be peaceful. And then here's Sauron just fucking shit up because he wants to. Because sometimes in the world there's just people who want to fuck shit up. And we got to band together and stop them. And that's kind of, the theme of these. And that's why we must do violence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Must do violence.
Must do violence. And Sam, I guess, should have done more violence on Smeagol. You're right. But would they have got there?
He probably would have saved his boy's finger. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. He's
Gollum
down
took
one finger.
Made a crunch wrap out of his goddamn finger.
That's true.
Would that work? What is the logic there? Like, you have the all-powerful ring on, and someone can just bite your fingy off? Like...
Well, it's like...
Well, that's how it was... Yeah, that's how Sauron was originally defeated. Isildur
that's
chop
right.
the
Yeah.
finger off.
I forgot.
Yeah.
12 hours before I had seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It
Translucent.
disarmed me too, Joe. I did not consider that.
It disarmed Sauron too.
Yeah, but that's why
His
you
finger.
need Gollum. Because basically Frodo inevitably was not going to be able to do it at the end. He had a moment of weakness, but then Gollum is there to bite his finger off and then fall into the lava. So it's a good thing he was there. That's why.
And is
the
that how
pity
it
of men.
goes in the book?
So
Yeah.
in the book,
He steals it from him.
he bites the fingy, and then he just has it, and then he doesn't just fall off. In the book, he's dancing around like an idiot and loses his footing, and it's like, oh, Deus Ex Machina, here we go again. But in this,
He's
I
happy
like.
about it.
Yeah, he's happy that he has the ring, and in his elation he falls. But I liked it in this. Frodo is still jealous and wants it and tackles him off the edge, and his, the draw of the ring is such that I think that's a stronger ending than him just slipping with that slide whistle sound effect,
Whoop. I made a butt of toesies.
He does, we get a Terminator 2, he leaves the ring on a little rock. But here's so we do finally get to Mount Doom. They destroy the ring. I have a question. Elrond was there when Isildur could not throw the ring in there. He has a council to say we should go to Mount Doom. But he sends only people who have never been to Mount Doom and don't know how to get there. Why didn't
he
you
doesn't
help?
want to actually do it. He's trying to get out of there. Like his job is done. Let's go west.
I got vacation next week, guys. I'm not postponing,
The time of elves is over. Men are screwed, but we're out. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
got a cabin at the Poconos, so
if you
guys gonna have to
defeat
do
the
it
ultimate
that way.
evil, hit me up.
Yeah.
See you guys.
we can jet ski.
Yeah.
Going down to the Finger Lakes next week.
But he finally accepts Aragorn and reforges Narsil as Elendil, the new sword for Aragorn, and he's like, "All right, you guess you can date my daughter," So he does his part, I guess.
You're only 87 years old. You're kind of young, but it's all right.
He washes his hair.
The old dudes in this movie are like nerd royalty too. I mean, you got Red Skull, Mr. Smith, and what's his name? Eowyn.
Yeah,
Like, he's in all of those, and then you got Gandalf and Magneto. Like, it's crazy the
Dracula.
nerd cred in those two alone. Yeah, Dracula,
Mm-hmm.
Count Dooku, and there's craziness.
Oh man, someone needs to
and
put.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned before, but he wanted to play Gandalf because he was a fan of the books. So he basically begged Peter Jackson to be Gandalf, but he's like, I think you're more of a Saruman.
Yeah, you look mean.
And he's the only person who actually met J.R.R. Tolkien. He was like a secret agent. He's like a real life badass. If you don't know about the life of Christopher Lee, look it up. But someone needs to put double the pride, double the fall, and then have him fall off the tower. Make that meme and send
Chucky
it to
just
me.
gets him with like a Chucky kill too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
I don't take this thing
He just
seriously.
talked shit about it, and he's like,
Oh,
you
he
talk shit
does.
about me, I'm gonna stab you.
Yeah. Fuck you. No, fuck you. Yeah, fuck me.
That's
But
basically exactly what happens.
we do get a fireball that looked weird. I don't think the fireball was great. Because the wizards up to that point just had the force, basically. It's the only time we see fireball.
Well, the first wizard.
It's
fight
4d10
in
though.
Fellowship
It's serious.
isn't the best.
A fireball. So
I think the first fight between Gandalf and Saruman wasn't really the best. It was just they're kind of just throwing each other around the room, and it's shot really weird. But
They trip each other with their sticks a bunch.
yeah.
Two
Peter
old
Jackson
men.
hates magic.
Do that.
He's like, I don't want lightning bolts flying around and shit. That's stupid. So
yeah.
But this is
Only sticks.
This was only in the extended cut too, Saruman being dead. So the theatrical cut, he's just up on a tower hanging out with Grima, I guess.
Yeah, they cut a lot of his story, which I like the extended, everything the extended stuff adds. I think is necessary.
For a
This one
finale.
didn't. The extensions in the extended cut did not feel out of place or make it feel longer. I mean, like I said, I think the first 3 hours of this plays faster to me than any other movie or any other piece of the Lord of the Rings. It's just once we hit those multiple endings, just
So
yeah,
what's the
someone
point?
just
What's
slams on the brake.
so what's the ending at which you would just stop? You just once Aragorn gets crowned, credits for you? That's enough?
Yeah. Give everyone their happy-go-lucky.
No, you need the bittersweet
pillow
Frodo
fight
ending,
scene.
though.
You don't. The pillow fight
I disagree.
sequence is enough to me of like it's shot dreamlike. If you want to take away that they're really dead, that works. Like it's shot like that. It feels like that. There are
Oh.
characters who you thought were dead on the battlefield who just walk in. Like it feels like it could work.
Yeah, okay.
And then and Return of the King with the king returning. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't need to
I think it's
see like.
it's
And then Frodo wrote the book, and that book is
And
what
then
you're
Sam
watching
finished
now.
writing the book.
that's the thing that every
I don't care about
fantasy
any of that.
thing has to be like, oh, and then they wrote the book, and it was the name of the book that it's based on.
Wow.
Because Game of Thrones
Is
did
that how
that too.
Game of Thrones? Isn't that what
Yeah.
they do with Peter Dinklage, Jacob?
Yeah, he like writes a book. He's like, and it's called A Game of Thrones.
Mm.
But I like the endings because
Peter
it fits
Jackson.
the spirit of the books as well too. Because basically the books end and you have a bunch of appendices where you can read more about the world. So I like that it kind of shows you.
And Jacob,
the world goes
to that,
on
It's
after the movie.
things like, and Sam's daughter grew, at the age of 30 as a bucksmith woman. Like it's not
it goes
short
on. Yeah.
breath. Yeah, it is fleshed out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Harry Potter does this too, but they only did one ending. You know what I mean? Like, there's just the one scene of like, and now they're all grown up and they're on their different path. And
Yeah,
they're
but if I
sending their
could
kid to
remove
Hogwarts.
anything from that series, it would be that scene. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't-
Artificially aged.
But you got-
Daniel
I just, like-
Radcliffe and stuff.
just
three
let the movie
characters.
end. Like, I don't
Okay.
know. I
Let your
I think you
story
just
end.
don't need the last 20 minutes. Yeah, your story ended. You're just like
Yeah.
adding shit on. Like,
drag your feet.
if I was telling a story about this podcast and this podcast ended, I wouldn't like be like, and then the next day Mike had cereal and Jacob slept through his alarm.
Yeah.
But he woke up the second time. Like, I don't
Yeah.
fucking care. The story's over, dog.
Yeah, we're
Like,
done.
We're done.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk
Well,
about the
that's
ending.
yeah.
I would say that everyone criticizes. Obviously, it's the eagles come after the ring's destroyed. These convenient eagles show up and pick them up. One note before we get into the Deus Ex of it all. Have you ever noticed the Smeagol eagle?
No.
So,
Eagle.
so this is an internet
Like a
term.
dumb-looking eagle.
No. When the eagles pick up Sam and Frodo, they're on the rock, right? 3 eagles arrive to take them because Gandalf sent the eagles thinking that Smeagol would have survived, and he sent an eagle for him just in case, and that makes me feel a little bit
What
sad.
a nice guy. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's-
that junkie's dead.
yeah, I know. He OD'd
That's why
on the ring,
Gandalf
dude.
is an angel and he's better than us because he cares about
So-
even poor little Gollum.
Joe, I'm going to pose this to you first. Why couldn't the eagles then just take the ring and drop it in a volcano? Go.
Because
They're
friendship.
busy.
Okay, they were busy.
Yeah, I
Colin, I have an
Busy doing other
answer.
stuff. They got busy lives.
I'll give a real one. I think it's very clearly outlined at the end when Frodo gets in the proximity of that thing, that motherfucking spotlight zeroes in on you.
Yeah.
If you're taking a
Oh, yeah,
bird
yeah.
over in the sky, World War II style, they're just gonna fire a gun up at you and bring you down.
Felbeast.
Yeah, that's the only way they
In
could.
the second one, so
That's the only way they could approach the volcano. They even needed Aragorn and all those guys to go distract Sauron's eye, right? So that's the only way is they could sneak in there. So they couldn't have eagles fly in there.
Right, and the Felbeast might have got him. Here's my thought. The hobbits are the only ones who can even hold this thing without going crazy. So maybe if an eagle picked it up, they're like, fuck it, we're just going to go to the beach and steal everybody's ice cream cones forever.
The bird goes nuts.
They're just doing evil bird stuff. Yeah.
Invisible bird.
oh no,
disappeared.
that's
Put
the
the ring on.
Bird King.
The Bird King.
Biggest bird out
Well,
there.
Shadow
Gandalf
bird.
is
Bird.
friends with the Bird King. He says, I think in the cartoon, it's like, I'm the king of the eagles. You fixed my broken wing one time, Gandalf. We're best
That's
friends.
why they help him out. They when he's
Oh,
held
yeah.
captive by Saruman.
Yep,
Because
yep.
he knows him.
He talks
He's
to
good
that
powers.
moth.
He's king of the birds.
Basically, Gandalf for hundreds of years has just been going around Middle Earth, like befriending
Smoking out all the
different
fucking gods.
Collecting favors.
I need to know
Jacob,
the
I'm
king
gonna
of
cash this
everything,
in.
Okay?
Hey,
It's
dude.
gonna be a really big moment where I'm gonna ask you for a favor.
Yeah, he just
Thank
says,
you, Sir Ribbington, King of the Frogs. I will ask you for something.
God, I'm the fucking king of horses. He fed me 2 sugar cubes 60 years ago, and now I gotta haul this asshole around.
Motherfucker
He's
won't
fucking
stop asking.
embarrassing me.
No, I like to think, yeah, he goes to the Shire to load up on his long bottom leaf and then just goes around, dude, trying to party. What's up, Horse King? Long time,
Yeah.
dude.
I put a saddle on a king. Like, I don't think you
You
should be able to do
motherfucker.
that.
Damn,
How dare
Mithrandir.
you?
Like the original, like the Hobbit begins with him showing up and just being like, Bilbo, you need like an adventure for your life. I'm gonna send you out on an adventure. And Bilbo's like, no, I don't really want to do an adventure. He's like,
I
too
don't
bad.
hate that.
Oh, we get more Gandalf in the Hobbits?
You do get more Gandalf in the Hobbits.
We
Yeah,
do.
he's
Okay.
throughout all the movies. So
I want to get when we
he's
get
the
to final
R2D2.
thoughts.
yeah,
We
we'll
can
close it
talk
in.
a little about what are you expecting out of the next trilogy. But while we're talking just about other things, I want to say this real quick to check in from here. Very successful trilogy is what we're finishing up here, and usually what that means is you get a quote unquote blank check to artistically create whatever you want after this. And we know what Peter Jackson ends up doing is remaking the film that inspired him as a child, that movies are magical and powerful. He remakes King Kong. What is your guys' opinion on, not even that, I mean, if you want to say the Lovely Bones too, I guess, anything that's not The Hobbit, of other future Peter Jackson material.
Quick Kong corner. Okay.
I was always a
Kong
big
corner,
fan of.
Mike.
I was always a big fan of Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I thought it was
Really?
great. And I wouldn't even say it's too long or anything like that. I think it works. It's like an epic, and I like it. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Now, obviously, you know that you need to defend it by saying those things because you are zeroing in on. I think the universal opinion on that film is that it was not well received and that it is too long.
Interesting.
Personally, I love it, but they are on the boat too long.
I would say the only part that I would maybe shorten is the ending when they go back to New York. I would maybe condense that.
The most iconic
For me,
part.
it's the boat before they get there, yeah.
I
like
like
the
ice
I love
skating.
all the shit on the island, and I love the New York stuff too. I mean, like post Lord of the Rings, if you could just take an hour out of every movie he made and then put it into the Frighteners extended edition, that's what I would
Oh
have.
yeah, give me more Jake Busey.
I never saw The Lovely Bones.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan.
I think even with King Kong, though, looking at Peter Jackson, and Colin, you tell me what you think. He was doing his thing. He took a source material that he was familiar with, and he made it, big and epic. And I think some of the CG, even though, is not as good as Lord of the Rings CG in King Kong. Like the dinosaurs don't hold up as well. The
We get
gorilla
Andy
doesn't hold up as
Serkis
well.
again.
Yeah.
Fresh off
Andy
of King
Serkis
Gollum. He's
doing
King
a
Kong.
mocap performance. That was Peter Jackson's big hook of, you thought Gollum was interesting. Wait till King Kong is going to be a character in this movie. Mike, I saw it one time in high school, big group of people, everybody saying, this is the next Peter Jackson movie. Do you like Lord of the Rings? Oh, I love Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. All that hype. I've never watched it again. I remember a lot of just mediocre feelings of people coming out of there.
I have the DVD. I had the DVD box set.
I had a very high
box
quality
set
statue.
of the one movie?
Yeah, it was like it had a bunch. It was like a box.
It
that
had
a bunch
extended
of
features and
extra
stuff
features
too,
and
a lot of
in
that.
it. Yeah.
But I had a Weta statue of King Kong fighting the T-Rexes that was very well detailed. Like Joe was saying, they make good stuff, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And the tail
Weta
got
Workshop.
chipped.
You gotta. I'm telling you, like if you love Peter Jackson at all, get yourself a nice Weta Workshop piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember a really bad video game.
It's good. It's a good
maybe it
video
was-
game, Joe.
Was it?
It's excellent.
I remember it was like
don't
one
know.
of the first Xbox games, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was the
Tommy
Xbox
Gun. That's all I
360.
remember
Maybe it
about it.
was.
It's a 360 launch title. Peter Jackson was
Yeah,
heavily
360.
involved in the production of it, and he offered sound design and the stages and props that they could scan in to get, like, they sent the exact models of the creatures from the Weta computers and stuff like that. He was really into it. It's a good survival game. He plays Adrian Brody, and the attracting feature is you're surviving on the island, but there's no HUD. So, like, he'll be like, got 6 bullets left. It's, like, very immersive. That's kind of the key factor. He didn't want a bunch of stuff taking you out of the world. So,
You
I
don't
like
play
it.
as Kong ever?
You do, but those parts are less fun to me.
Okay.
They're a little
I
clunkier.
I remember just feeling very much like, oh, this is a launch title and it is broken. Like that is my main memory of it. That and the Perfect Dark remake came out. They were both like launch titles.
Yeah, both pretty
And
bad.
I didn't have either one. I didn't have a fucking system on launch, but I went to someone's party and I remember being like, this ain't that great.
Maybe I'll revisit before the next Wetcha the King Kong game, because I remember enjoying it and feeling like it was pretty tense when the Raptors are attacking you and you got just a spear. It's like, dude, this is not good. And then you got Jack Black running around with the camera. He voiced the character.
Wow.
Oh.
So that's
Stream
fun.
it, Mike. I'd watch you play that.
Yeah, I'll stream it. But Speaking of Weta episode we've had. What do you say? What do you say? Oh, man, I had
Do
it.
we want to
I
do
had it.
predictions for The Hobbit?
We're going to
Here's my
do that
prediction.
after we do
Okay.
final thoughts on The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, coming up next.
We're back. We're going to talk our final thoughts here on the final film in the original trilogy for J.R.R. Tolkien's masterpiece series, Lord of the Rings. Return of the King, Peter Jackson's masterpiece as well. We'll get into our final thoughts. We'll give our predictions on The Hobbit. I want to do a quick shout out to Australian character actor Bruce Spence, who plays the Mouth of Sauron in this deleted scene on this film.
Mad Max?
Mike, he is someone we've talked about in 2 films prior as maybe the best parts of both of those films. The Road Warrior, he plays the gyro captain, the guy who pilots the helicopter. And then in Attack of the Clones, he plays the alien who leans into Obi-Wan to be like, everything's fine here. General Grievous is hurting us. And Obi-Wan has that green screeching, thing that he's riding.
Nosferatu guy. Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. No, now that you say it, like, even though you only see its mouth, I'm like, oh, yeah, that is him. I had no idea. I never knew that. Thanks for sharing that. Well, here's a question I have. And we'll start here then. So it's Return of the King, right? And so one of the things Chris wanted me to bring up is the king really just Sam? And so, as I said, Sam goes home. He gets his wife and he finishes the book. He's his own king in his own way. Short King Samwise Gamgee, right? But I just want to mention that's my favorite character. Sam is the heartbeat of the series, right? I'm coming with you. Can't carry it for you. I can carry you. Great stuff. He gets the happy ending, even if it's 7 endings in. So that's my favorite character. So I want to ask Joe, favorite character of these 3 movies.
Oh man, all men are kings. Nice. I think Aragorn is probably
not you,
my
little
favorite.
kings. You bow for no one.
Yes, what a line.
Oh yeah, that's great too. No, man, I really like Aragorn's like, I don't want any responsibility. Oh, I have to be responsible. Okay, I'll take the ultimate responsibility, please. He has a sword and commands a ghost army. Like, come on, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
Yeah, it is pretty badass, and he's the one who says you bow to no one. What a great show of his character.
My only complaint with the writing, Joe, I wish the whole first movie was Strider, that they didn't even say the words Aragorn. And then by
that would be cool.
Second half of the second one, you get he's shifting into. Third one, he's reborn here. But they kind of imply that with the script, but it doesn't pay off that way.
True, they don't really nail down the Strider nickname in those early movies. I hear you there.
But I mean, honestly, like it's really hard to pick a favorite character because I think what makes this work and why I don't think like Frodo's the main character is because any one of them you could pick, and any relationship with any other characters, all gonna have like a really strong payoff. Like whether it's Merry, Pippin, Sam, Aragorn, or Gimli, like everyone's got something.
Yeah, it's true, very true. Jacob, so who's your person that's got something that you're
Well,
leaning towards?
I like Aragorn. Obviously, Legolas is the coolest guy.
Bow guy.
He was my favorite when I was younger, but he's not the best character. But he does get to do something cool. He takes down a whole elephant. That's pretty cool. It only counts as one, as Gimli says.
Yep.
I think Gollum is a great character. Smeagol, Gollum. It's hard to choose just one, but I say Gandalf might be my overall favorite character because he's just a great character.
Yeah.
I wish you would have just taken a pause and been like, I say bow guy.
I do love bow guys. If you ever play D&D with me, you know what I'll be. I'll be the frickin' elf ranger out here with a longbow because that's me.
That's him.
But Gandalf is he's great, and he's great characterization, and he's great in this movie, and I just love him. What more can you say?
Mithrandir, yeah. Colin, how about you?
Gandalf's journey's good. I kind of agree with Joe, and then I have a problem with the premise of the question, Mike, because it's the ensemble. It's just,
hard.
That's kind of what you're here for. Who's your favorite of the 10 Eternals introduced in Eternals? That you wouldn't say the ensemble. You would pin the one where you're like, Jesus, at least I can tolerate this person.
Kingo.
Yeah, sure.
I love
There's
King
no
O.
one in this cast where I'm like, God, I wish, that someone else had gone on this journey or done all these things. No, they're all perfect. I resonated like you with the Sam storyline the most, and I think the most powerful line is, like I said, the realization that, this motherfucker started this journey. I don't even know what we're doing. This is crazy. I don't think we're coming back from this thing. Let's go die, basically. That's wild, and Sean Astin acts the hell out of it, but it's just I just wouldn't say Sam's my favorite. I would never be able to just say that, I don't think.
No, he's too
The
much
way
of a
he
pushover.
comes to that realization too, because you have that moment earlier in Return of the King where he's looking at the rations and he's concerned about making sure they have enough for the way home, and then
Yeah.
the realization of like, oh, we don't need any for the way home
No,
because there is.
then
no
you get
way
Frodo
home.
saying, Joe, I don't remember what food tastes like. And you're like, we should just both die. Like,
I
really,
don't
at that
know
moment, it
bread
is
no
like, I do
more.
understand the ending, Jacob, where it's like, there's no coming back.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember the feel of grass and stuff. It's really
Yeah.
sad. Let's be rid of
Which
it
is
once
so,
and for all. But yeah.
it's so unfair to Frodo because he never wanted this, but he just kind of agreed to hold a ring for a little bit in the first movie. Now he's doing all this
Yeah.
shit.
Well, let me tie these two things together then. Aragorn, right? Some men are born great, others have greatness thrust upon them. He's the descendant of a great line who doesn't want the responsibility. Frodo just happens upon responsibility, so he has to acknowledge that it is his to take, and Frodo has to take it even though it doesn't belong to him. And that's why the movies are kind of all one ensemble. You're right.
Right.
And there's a lot of Deus Ex, Mike, of, they got past this moment because this other thing happened. I think that's kind of breaking it down a little too much to call it that.
Mhm.
There is a good moment of Frodo of when they're wearing that goblin armor and they're about to be attacked, and Sam says, I literally have no idea what to do here. Frodo says, hit me. He comes up with the plan.
He
gets
does,
them out of
yeah.
that skirmish. There is stuff like that works for me.
Yeah, true. Great makeup on that orc then. I guess it is hard to the no-nose guy. It is hard,
Yeah,
I
with
guess,
the crazy
to pick
eye.
one. Yeah, he's cool, right?
He's great.
No, the way they make all the characters distinct, even like a random mob
Yes.
character, right? It's good. This is my other question I have. I'll throw it to Joe first. Have you ever watched all of these in one day? No.
I have not.
Okay.
I don't think so. No.
All right, Colin.
I've done every other trilogy there is, but not that
In one day.
Like
I
Star
even
Wars,
think
all
I've
that.
maybe done even all the Star Wars films in one day, like all. I
Yeah,
think I've done
that.
that with you,
Wow.
Joe, for sure. But
Yeah, we've done all
throw it
6.
to
I've done
my,
Back to the Future, Indie, everything.
yes.
Got
To
it.
throw it to my
Going to
Foxtrot
Blue.
again, my little nerdy book here talking about it. They say in there, oh, can you, wait till we're able to do the marathons and stuff. I think when the DVDs came out, I remember a lot of school friends being like, yo, we're going to watch all the Lord of the Rings. We're going to watch all the extended editions. Saturday and Sunday, you just come over. My mom's just going to make snacks. You can sleep over. Saturday and Sunday, it's just the 3 Lord of the Rings. I remember being like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm in for that. I think I have.
Yeah. Now that I think of it, I probably have done something like that as well. I used to go to my friend's house for sleepovers and whatnot, and he had Lord of the Rings Risk theme, the board game Risk.
Nice.
Play that
Very
shit.
interesting.
That is cool.
So we would watch the
Would
movies
you
while
be
playing
in the
that.
same way that you can be like the Axis in the normal, like Germany and Japan and stuff? Could you be Mordor and move out?
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
think you just pick colors and then, I'm not sure exactly, but it was pretty cool. It was like a map
Wow.
of Middle Earth and all that, and it was just like Risk. And we would play that, and we'd watch the movies on the background, and it'd be great.
Nice. Yeah, I have done all the extendeds in one day. Back when I lived in Ohio, I did 10 a.m., started them, finished them by about 11 p.m. It's 12 hours. It's quite the undertaking. But I have done that.
Mike, like the taste. Can you taste the Mountain Dew that you would like chug like by
Dr.
movie
Pepper, yeah.
2-3 hours in? Oh, God.
At a certain point, your eyes get fatigued. I distinctly remember
oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was doing if I wasn't going to Halo LAN parties or something.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
Bingo.
dude.
But if somebody
Those
called
are
me and
where it was
said,
at.
if somebody in
God.
2021 were to invite me to say, hey, Saturday, Sunday, we're watching Lord of the Rings, I would take
Mike-
him
My
up on
mom's
it.
gonna make
Good news.
Yeah.
2003,
buddy, we're gonna
we're
watch it
getting
all
a
again.
pizza. My mom said we can land for Halo, and then we're gonna rent Lord of the Rings. Guys, if I
Sign
could
me
fucking time
That's
travel
perfect.
to any time period.
Perfect day in
Jesus
2002.
Christ.
That's my
Yeah.
Shire. Yeah. And there's no
If
going
only we
back.
could get
That's the
back
worst
to those
part.
days.
Untouched, Mike.
That's the big lesson. You can't go back, and the best days are behind us.
I'm going to
but-
get on a boat after this. But that question leads into kind of this wrap-up thoughts. I think we're going to do our final thoughts here is I asked if you watched them all in one because now, after reviewing them, we kind of got our thoughts of Return of the King, the other movies. It's hard to kind of think of these, even though we have been in these episodes, as separate films. I still tend to look at it as a single completed work of which I just pick chapters, you know? So maybe we've talked Return of the King. Let's talk kind of our final thoughts on the Lord of the Rings experience proper, as it were, I guess, and any thoughts on that. Joe, what do you think? As the dragon hater, sorry.
Yeah, as the resident dragon hater, I was not excited that we were gonna do this. That was not something that I was looking forward to. I threw Fellowship on. I happened to be home alone, and I had ordered Chipotle. I was sitting there eating a burrito bowl, watching this movie, and I was like, "Oh, I like this more than I thought I did." I think it's probably the best movie.
Yeah.
And then Two Towers, I was like, "Ooh, it's starting to lose me. Starting to lose steam. I don't know if I'm into this." We talked about it, and I was like, "All right, Return of the King. I'm super jazzed. It's my favorite." I think Fellowship is the best movie, but it's my favorite, and I really enjoyed it, man. I would not have watched these on my own had we not been covering them for the show, but I'm really glad we did because I really enjoyed Return of the King on a rewatch.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you kind of enjoyed the experience overall, and Return of the King is your favorite. That is something we should do too, is mention our favorites if you have one. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed going through it. I mean, you couldn't have been less excited than Transformers, right? I mean,
Sure. I wasn't on for a lot of the
oh, that's true. Yeah.
Transformers,
Well, meanwhile, we were chained to our station. Megatron wouldn't let us go
on
until
the
we
moon.
completed them. Yeah. Jacob, though, how about you? Lord of the Rings as a whole?
Yeah.
Return of the King. Any thoughts?
Well, I kind of feel the same as Joe. This one, Fellowship was the best movie, but this was probably my favorite, and I had a really good time watching it. Yeah, I don't have too much more to say about it, but I'm just I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, big Shadowfax fan.
Anything after watching all three of them?
Big Shadowfax fan.
I love Angels. King of the Birds.
God, you guys just know me. I love Smeagol. I love that horse.
And Bow Guy.
I'm a man of simple pleasures.
Yeah.
I like a good horse. I like a
guys.
good bow guy.
I like a good horse. God.
No, but it's a very influential franchise, obviously, and if we want to start talking The Hobbit, I'm excited to get into those, which I'm much less familiar with the movies, so I'm looking forward to rewatching those, even if they might not be great.
Gotcha. All right, Colin, how about you? Lord of the Rings.
That's the starting point for those.
Might not be.
Joe's gonna
Joe,
meet
just wait.
Smaug
Just wait.
soon, and I can't just even saying that I almost cannot wait. Again, over the whole of these, I'm so glad we've done these. That first one, that hour and 40 Fellowship episode where we're just yakking. Like I said, I'm talking a mile a minute. So much behind the scenes stuff I wanted to talk about. More I wanted to get out. We did the breadth of what is high fantasy versus low fantasy. And just thinking of that in this context, I think my lukewarm reaction to Return of the King is coming in sort of a Game of Thrones way of, Joe, you were saying by 2, things were slowing down for you. I was languishing in the detail, the craftsmanship, how slow, this story is just unraveling just before my eyes. Jacob, in the Game of Thrones, I feel like, baby, we're in Quark or wherever. We're in the desert. It's like things are just getting interesting in Two Towers, baby. It's like things are just going. And then by the time you get Return of the King, you've just fast forwarded to this ending where I could have almost used another movie.
Return of the King parts 1 and 2.
Mike, I was getting mixed up in my head. Are there 4 hobbits? Is it an unexpected journey, there and back again, Battle of the Armies, Desolation of Smaug?
It's Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug, Battle of Five Armies. Just 3.
Okay.
Yep.
One of those movies is called The Battle of the Five Armies.
Oh, wait till you meet the armies, man.
Sucks. Get ready. But, almost a there and back again. Almost, I could have almost just used. Yeah, again, it just when this movie starts and it's so much of, guys, we're back with the party. Get ready. It was good to see everyone because we're all about to go our separate ways. It's like, baby, relax, baby.
Yeah,
I'm into this.
We got long bottom
I
leaf
could have watched
here.
4 more hours of this. And I think
could,
Colin,
Jacob.
the way things have trended now, so it used to be they would make movies, right? Well, they still make movies, obviously.
Mhm.
But a new thing is like TV or streaming series is where they'll be like what they used to do in a movie, they'll make into a season of a TV show. So like
limited series
Game
of
of Thrones. Yeah, like they have the Wheel of Time series that just came out on Amazon. And of course now they're doing a Lord of the Rings on Amazon, which is
and this is a spoiled reaction to that, Jacob. It is the new inherent culture that I have of like, yo, this is a world that's interesting and unique. Why are we shutting the door, baby? I want to just open it up and keep running.
So if they made that today,
You're right.
it could have been a series or something like that to give it more time. But one interesting thing about this new series that's going to be coming out, which I was reading a little bit about it, it is set in the same universe or continuity as the Peter Jackson one. So they're aesthetically, all that, they're trying to keep it as similar to the movies as possible. But it's set, hundreds of years prior, in the Second Age. Yeah, it's about the Second Age.
Is it about Isildur?
I think. I mean, it's you don't. They don't have like too much detail about what it's about. It's just based on some of the Second Age stuff. So I think Isildur could be in it, but it's about the fall of men in the Second Age, basically. I think.
Interesting. Well,
so
sure.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I'll watch it, and I think it'll be great. But The Hobbit. My prediction for The Hobbit is that Joe is not gonna like it. I'm very excited to talk about the first one because about 20 minutes into this movie, you're gonna be saying, "What the fuck am I watching?" And it's gonna be
Jacob. Here's what I wish. My wish instead of an expectation for The Hobbit. I wish we could all experience it in the crazy frame rate.
Oh, 48 frames per second. Yeah, 3D.
I don't. Yeah, maybe I should save my story of when I first saw the first Hobbit movie for next week.
I'm saving mine.
Yeah.
It's very funny. It involves some of our friends that I was there seeing it with.
Yeah,
so
we'll see how the Hobbit goes. As far as the Hobbit for me, I've only ever seen the first one. Didn't love it. And then I've seen only.
You've never seen them all, Mike.
I've seen a 4-hour fan cut that makes the whole thing short. So I've never seen them in their entirety.
I don't think I've only seen the first one. I think, and I don't. At least to my knowledge, because I don't remember anything about like the second 2, and I'm very excited to see how they could stretch this into 3 movies because I did read the book when I was a kid, and I know how the book goes. There's not as much plot. There's not as much plot as there is in Lord of the Rings. I don't know how exactly they're going to.
There are 5 armies, and do they battle?
They do.
I don't remember that from the book.
That's the name of the chapter where it happens. Yeah. But don't want to get too much into The Hobbit. We're still in Lord of the Rings town. We're feeling good. I don't want to feel bad right now. I want to look back on my time with Lord of the Rings, but we will be starting next week, so tune in for that. I've enjoyed this immensely. I think I've been the most excited to rewatch these of anything we've done on the show, including Star Wars, as much as I love Star Wars. I think these are probably my favorite movies. Like, I can say that confidently after revisiting it and just the emotions and like the memories of how many times have I quoted this damn thing, so I'm really about it. I think Return of the King has the highest highs. You get all the payoff, everything. And then Two Towers is just kind of, again, it's a pastrami. It's good. It's meaty. I like it. It is long. But I think Fellowship is my favorite because you can watch it at any time and it's more or less complete. Like you get a slow intro. Oh, let me get in my blanket. Look at the Shire. I love the Shire. And then they get on their adventure, and then you get one dungeon, and everybody levels up, and then you shall not pass, and you call it a day. It's a good one shot, D&D adventure. Yeah. So
what's interesting is the books. So the 3 books were each split into 2 books. So there's actually 6 books. Yeah. So like the first book of Fellowship ends when they get to basically Rivendell, and then so from Rivendell to Lothlorien is the second book, and so on. So they kind of almost feel like, they could have been extended. Like they could have made 6 movies, but I love what they made. And
Jacob, you
make
said
a movie
Fellowship.
for every fucking step they take.
Yes.
Final lock-in,
Why not?
Jacob. Fellowship's your favorite?
I think Return of the King was maybe my favorite, but Fellowship I think was the
Return's your
most
favorite.
complete movie because it has I think the Fellowship aspect of it, the whole gang is all together. That's what you get out of the first one.
You
And
have
I like that.
Boromir's death, and
Yeah.
And Joe, Return of the King.
Yeah, I'm right with Jacob. I think Fellowship is the best movie, but Return of the King is my favorite. I
Colin,
really enjoyed Return of the King on a rewatch.
Mine is same answer for both. I think best and favorite is Two Towers.
Wow.
I'm gonna be the
Yeah,
outlier.
that's
Stuck to
definitely
it.
my least favorite.
It always
but
was my
obviously it has
favorite,
good moments.
but
Yeah.
now I've changed. Interesting stuff. One
Maturity.
last note I wanted to mention. It's related to Fellowship. Just the attention to detail at every level. We've been singing its praises, top to bottom. Music, sound, costume, all of it's been amazing. Even the editing. There's one edit I noticed this time around that I forgot, and it's when Sam says, "Please don't turn me into anything unnatural," when he gets caught outside the window, and they immediately edit to the horse. And then it goes across frame and you see Sam behind it. It's like, did he turn him into a horse? And it's like, it's just an editing
Interesting
gag,
gag.
like that they threw in. It's like, I don't know if that was
Yeah.
intentional or they found it in the edit, but like that's the kind of shit you get with these movies. And I'm here for all of it. Extend it. Sign me up. But I have some reservations about The Hobbit. We'll see, because it was a single children's book spread into 3. So tune in next week to see
Gonna be great.
how we fare on our
gonna
unexpected
hate
journey. Joe's going to hate it.
I love how we're doing the next 3 fucking episodes, and everyone's main thought so far has been Joe's gonna hate this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not an unexpected
Thanks, guys.
journey. It's an expected Joe hates it.
Yeah.
We're very
Merry fucking
excited.
Christmas.
My bar is, I hope that I hate them less than Transformers 2. I hope that's
Yeah, I'm
I would be
hoping that I
curious-
enjoy them, but I don't think they're gonna. I mean, obviously, they're not gonna be to the level of Lord of the Rings, but I hope that I'm going to enjoy watching them.
But
yeah.
here's my question. When we ranked the Halloweens, and we did all of them, not just the
Yes.
eras.
Yeah, I had to watch
Some of
Halloween
them-
6, so you can watch The Hobbit.
Jacob, you put Halloween 6 above some others. Could a Hobbit movie beat out one of the original trilogy in any of your guys' minds? Do you think?
Never,
No.
ever.
In terms of being a better movie,
Nope.
In your rankings
No.
by the end of this.
I doubt it. I remember how this
Impossible.
movie begins. Yeah.
Look, here's what I know. I did not know that there were 3 of them until we started talking about this, and I know Benedict Cumberbatch plays a dragon, which
He
I
does.
don't like a single word in that sentence.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, it's great.
We've only had
he's like
fell
modeled
beasts.
after his face too.
Yeah, like we've had not real dragons. Now we're going to expose him to an actual dragon. This is
Yeah.
going to be bad.
Doctor
Played by-
Strange is Dragon Strange.
Strange.
Get
Dragon
ready.
Strange.
We're going to enter the Middle Earth of Madness.
We'll let you
coming up,
know.
Normies, on this podcast.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we'll tell you the gory details of how it was made and what happened to it as we go through it. But in the meantime, get ready. Watch The Hobbit this week if you want to join us next week and hear our
I'm
takes.
excited to
and-
watch it
and all that.
right after we stop recording.
Wait,
Wow.
okay, so I need this on paper. Or,
Oh, yeah.
or what's the order?
What's
Because
the
when
first
you look
one?
when you look at HBO, like if you type in Lord of the Rings extended cut of Return of the King is the
Unexpected
first thing that
Journey.
comes up.
Oh, yeah. I noticed
Okay.
that too, Joe.
It's the
Desolation of
Unexpected Journey,
Smog.
Desolation of Smog
Five
is
Armies.
second, and then the Five Armies
Battle
is
of the
the
Five
third.
Armies.
Okay, so Unexpected Journey is what I have to watch for next week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the Unexpected
go.
Journey Extended Edition. Remember, Joe. That's.
Are there
Oh, are
extended
these- do they
editions for
have
the
these?
Hobbits?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
even
oh.
realize that. I've never seen these then. This is going to be
Buckle
great,
up.
Normies.
Get your long bottom leaf ready, guys. I tell you, you're going to need it.
Wow. All right. As always, you hear Mike Gandalf say this at the end of the episode, but we always want to remind you to like, subscribe, rate, review, comment. Helps us out. Do that at normies_like_us. Check out the YouTube too. Hit us up there. That's why we're making that content for you, babies.
That's right. You can see our beautiful, beautiful faces.
Yeah.
That's right. And the Orlando Bloom book.
That's right. All right, and we have been your hosts. This is Return of the Colin.
Ayo, Mike, I am no host.
The last time I get to say it, so Leg Joe lost. Bogey.
Oh, guy. And this is
It's on your business card.
the Fellowship of the Jacob.
You're your own fellowship. That's
Yours are so
Right.
fucking low.
angels and the
And I'm
Trinity within
Jacob
me.
of the Rings. Good night, folks.
Fly, you fools!
Bye, normies.
Bye.